But all of our stories are weird. Kelly, what's your weird story?
I just needed a job.
If there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you say.
Welcome, everyone, to the latest episode of the Women in AV podcast. Joining me today is Kelly Perkins from the Farm AV. Hey, Kelly.
Hello, how's it going?
Pretty good. We also have with us today Christie Mitchell from Westco. Hi, Christie.
Hi, everybody. Fancy seeing you all here again. You know, my two favorite girlies in AV. I mean, just not my only two favorites, but like definitely at the top. Oh my gosh.
I was about to say, you can't just throw out favorites like that.
I know, but you know, I just love everybody. But I especially love Kelly and Erica, so we'll just go with that.
Well, back at you.
Right back at you. Absolutely. So we're going to change up the format a little bit today, and I want to hear about how you guys got into AV and just some backstory on like what got you here. Christie, you want to start?
Sure. So this topic is especially relevant to me today because I just got off of the phone with one of our girlies in the Co-Wavits group that I know Erica and Kelly you all are familiar with. We added an S at the end of Co-Wavit to include security. And funny that you asked me this because security is actually how I got into AV. So back when I was still living in Kentucky, I was Kentucky born and raised 27 years. And I was in advertising and I had networked my way all the way around town. The advertising agency that I was working for went under. And so I was looking for a new gig and I knew everybody, including what I now know to be an integrator. But at the time, I didn't know what an integrator was. I was like, who are those people? That sounds weird. This woman, Sheila Bays, who is a prominent jeweler in town, had just partnered with an integrator, an AV integrator. And this is back in the early, 2011, 12, 13-ish. And they were looking to get, and they're already going to be in the home, right? The resi space. They're already going to be in the home. Why not supplement their revenue by offering security services while doing the AV part, right? And at the time, this was a huge trend post, 2008 when business tanked. And so they were looking for multiple streams of revenue and they were looking for somebody to head that up. And I, being in my 20s, I loved when somebody gave me a startup opportunity and told me I could be a VP, So that's how I started. And I started meeting with vendors and dealers. And I learned the word dealer and all of these security software platforms and the IoT, right? This was right when, smart homes were making a huge emergence into, the tech space. And so I just fell in love with it and developed a passion, and it led me to Texas to another residential integrator. And then from there, I ended up moving into the manufacturing space at Surgex. And who would have known, like a former, currently I'm a musician. I'll always be a musician, but I loved music and I loved, the fact that there was a tie-in with the audiovisual industry in that way to supplement my passions. But who knew that the musician actually started in security? And now, full circle, we've got a women's group in Colorado, and we have networked ourselves all the way out to a point where AV now meets security as well. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
it's a very
weird one, but all of our stories are weird. Kelly, what's your weird story?
I just needed a job. I started out my career in software, not in the AV industry. And then I took a job at an ad agency because I thought it would be super fun. And they had like ping pong tables and all that stuff, and like walk around with beer on Fridays. And that lasted for like 6 weeks before they laid our entire department off. So, I had to pay like rent and I didn't get like a ton of severance. I think I got a week's worth of severance. So I went to every restaurant and bar within walking distance of my apartment at the time and started bartending. And then I just kept looking for full-time jobs because I needed health insurance and all of that stuff. Side note, when I did work at the bar, I only worked 4 days a week and I made the same amount of money I had been making at the ad agency.
Feel that in a real way.
Yes, I didn't get benefits and all the things, but I worked one day less and made the same amount of money. So so I ended up applying pretty much everywhere, like literally sitting on my patio stealing like internet from people because I couldn't afford internet at the time. And that's when I got the job at Vadio, the camera company now. And yeah, I remember walking in there and being like, ooh, because they didn't even have like a front desk. But then I interviewed with the two owners, Tom Mingo and Rob Sheely, and they were awesome. And they called and offered me a job later that day. So I cut my teeth. What kind of job was it? It was marketing. So mostly doing trade show stuff and working on their catalog. That's how I kind of cut my teeth in the industry and learning all of the technical piece of it, just building out the trade show booths and connecting the cameras. And like, I remember sitting on the floor because all of our cameras had 3 Cat 5 cables to run power, video, and control. And we would sit there and terminate them and like talk crap for hours. And I couldn't feel my fingers for like the next 3 days.
I wore flip-flops to the job site.
I wouldn't admit that. No.
I wore flip-flops to the job site and they go, oh, she's new. She, like in Mean Girls, she doesn't even go here. Like, what's she doing? Yeah, never did it again. Definitely. Never did it again. But I got up at the crawl spaces, Kelly. I got up at the crawl spaces and I learned about contact closures with boots on the next time. Sure did.
That's awesome.
I made that mistake once.
That was my entrance into AV. I worked there for almost 7 years.
Were you there when LeGrand took over?
No, a VC firm came in. And then they sold to Milestone, who then sold to LeGrand. Right. So it was a process.
Gotcha.
But a lot of my friends are still there. My cousin still works, not at Vadio, but at LeGrand. So,
what about you, Erica?
So like Kelly, starting out early in my career, I didn't have a whole lot of money. And I actually left a terrible job where I was given false promises to start my own graphic design firm. I went to school for graphic design. And that lasted a few years. But I was literally like living on wishes and quarters I find on the corner. And I needed healthcare and all the things. And so there was actually a temp ad for a projector manufacturer that was looking for somebody to help plan an event. At the time, it was a rep event.
It always goes back to projectors.
Yeah. Oh, projectors are like, they're part of my origin story for real.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about PTZ cameras. It's so weird.
Yeah.
I don't have one of those. Mine's plugs.
Yeah, plugs. Plugs, projectors, and PTZ cameras. The 3 Ps.
Okay, go on, Erica. Go on.
Yeah. So I interviewed, and they were doing a rep event, which I didn't know what that was at the time. They were just, trying to get somebody to help with this event planning. And I had a lot of other random technology stuff on my resume, like working at Best Buy as a personal shopping assistant and Geek Squad and like all this like random stuff.
Nothing about this surprises me.
No, I also did lighting for a very prominent improv theater in Atlanta. I did that for multiple years. So anyways, I met with Chuck Collins and Mike Levy at the time, both now retired. And they called me back and said, hey, you could probably do this thing, but we want to make a space for you in our applications engineering department.
That's awesome, dude.
Which was like basically troubleshooting choke points and helping people with RS-232 commands and testing projectors. Like we had a lab and like one of my first projects, it was all math, geometry. And by the way, I took geometry 3 times in high school. And so like
I couldn't do geometry.
Never in my life did I ever think, I'm going to need this in my career. So I did math for a living. And
Cool.
one of my first projects was actually a 4K cave for NASA.
Oh, cool.
That was before 4K chips existed.
That's awesome.
And it was, yeah, for me, I was hooked.
Ooh, speaking of projects, do we want to talk about projects?
Yeah.
The project didn't hook me, but I will say my first accomplishment, like that, when we were talking about this, guys, I know that you all are guys and gals, I know that you all are listening, but when we were talking about this prior to hitting record, we were talking about just all the passion that comes behind our stories and what kind of makes us us. And Erica was talking about, her big project with NASA, which I want to hear more about, but Chevron is my big thing. And I remember I got an opportunity through an integrator who brought me in the door. I would not have ever been able to do this if it had not been for the support. They walked me in the door. They gave me the platform. And I have this picture. The story is, I just love the story. Like, the guy spilled his tea. You know how they have those chairs in the big, or like, not like the big halls where you still have the table that you prop your stuff up on, like when you were going to school, like high school. They have like the little easel thing, the chair. Well, either way, irrelevant. He knocked his tea off, and I'm standing there on stage, and I'm like talking about bartending. I did that for a little while in between jobs, Kelly. And I had just left that job to start at Surgex. And I just immediately started talking about inrush kernel elimination and went over, poured a tea, got off stage, handed him the tea, handed him some napkins. And I was like, it's okay. We all do it. And that was it. Right. He was like, thank God somebody didn't embarrass me. They got me another tea. Like, I feel like that was it. And then the guys in the audience could not see. I pulled the top off of one of our rack mountable surge protectors. And I remember this moment, and I got so angry, and I went to my boss and I went, this person went off topic, and this person did this, and I want to do this next time, and I flew everybody in, and I was like going nuts. And he was just sitting there smiling at me at the top of a Hilton in Houston, Texas. He goes, Christie, do you know that you're complaining about nothing? And did you know that you flew all of us in and you didn't need a single one of us because you ran the show today? And
That's pretty cool.
How did that feel?
Boss, like, smile at you like a proud papa and tell you that you did such a good job, and that it was you that did a good job. And then to walk out of there with the start of what would become a Surgex 1115 Access Elite, and then Squids globally, all over the world in Chevron buildings, is like, I don't know if I'll ever top it. I hope I can, but that's what hooked me.
Squids.
Our little squids. God, the marketing for that, Kelly, you would have loved that.
Oh, is that like the dongle thing?
No. This was
I don't know what a squid is.
Gosh, you're pulling legacy knowledge out of my brain right now.
Good.
It was our first IP controllable AC/DC surge protector. It eliminated the need for wall warts, right? So you can hang it up underneath the table, and then we had a managed services portion of it too. Are y'all laughing at me?
No, it's just kind of funny.
No. I want to get geeky too.
No, you're doing great.
Okay, good.
You're throwing things out that nobody has any idea what you're talking about.
Great, yes, perfect. Awesome. If anybody needs a legacy Surgex person, definitely don't go to me. Go to Surgex. But I can tell you about plugs. I loved it.
So Kelly, you have a PT plugs and PTZ cameras, PTZ camera project story.
PTZ camera project story.
Or how about your favorite project?
I think my favorite project probably was when my coworker, Denny McDougall, who is the sales manager at AVI Systems in Chicago, is really good friends. And we did all of the work for for Soldier Field and then US Cellular Field. So we did a tour of Soldier Field during the day. And then he took me to a Twins game against the White Sox at US Cellular Field. I don't know what it's called now, in the south side of Chicago. And his friends were in the production, like camera booth area or whatever. And we did a tour of that. And then they gave us free tickets to the game where we sat in like the front row. Is that what you call it at a baseball game? Front row, first
Yeah.
seats, whatever. And then they kept panning like the Jumbotron on us, like every like half hour. It was ridiculous, but it was super fun. And then we went out with them afterwards, and it was such a blast. So that was probably my favorite, like 2 projects, because the same guys were subcontracted to run both football and baseball games. So.
But you know, this is why we love what we do. And this is like when we go out and we do these Rosie Riveters projects and we go talk to these kids, like these are the fun stories that we get to tell, right? That people don't realize, like the opportunity is not only in pay, in job security and upward mobility within our organization, but like we're just big kids at the end of the day, I feel like. And we found a place, we found our home where we get to do fun stuff and, you know, geeky stuff and, you know, and we get to find our own sense of self. Like, I think that that's the biggest thing that's happened for me in the last 10 years is that I found my identity. Like I found my sense of self because I've had such good mentorship from people, these guys that I never would have thought that have entered my life, you know, a Mike Morton and a Rick Comandera. And, you know, we all have them. Right. And
my friends think we're like a cult.
Maybe,
like,
but like, you know,
the industry.
Yes.
Just as long as nobody drinks the Kool-Aid.
Like those are AV people. And they're like, Jesus, like, what is this?
Y'all are weird, man. I know. And now we've got security girls coming into the fold. I'm so excited. So exciting.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean,
That's awesome.
think about like the camaraderie and the friendship. And then, you know, the guys that have lifted me up, I couldn't be where I am without the guys that have lifted me up.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to the guys. Chrissy, you've brought this up before that, you know, we may only be like 12% of the industry, but that means there's still another 88% out there. And those guys, those 88%, we absolutely need those guys. And they show up. You know, when we host our volunteering events for Rosie Riveters or Co-Wave It or Co-Wave It's.
Co-Wave It's.
I have a huge appreciation for all the guys that help drive our passions forward.
If we're going to not be 12% women in our industry, the way that we are not 12% women in our industry is if the 88% of men support, train, teach, build, and lift up new talent. It is not a 12% women effort to make sure that more women come into our industry.
Absolutely. Kelly, do you have any exciting volunteer things coming on? So Kelly, you're like the number one volunteer. And every time I talk to you, you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go do this food bank, or I have to go."
Don't publicize that because I will
Meals on Wheels.
Well, I stopped doing that. I ran out of time for that one.
Okay.
I like to volunteer. I also have a very hard time saying no, which it's a personal problem I got to work on.
We're gonna set a goal. We're gonna hold you accountable. We're gonna sing the boundary song.
I also enjoy it. You know what I mean? I think it's fun and for somebody who I mostly sit at home, right? Between these like 4 walls and I work remote. So it gets me out of the house. And plus I don't know, you know, well, I know more people now here in Dallas, you know, but being born and raised in Minnesota for the majority of my life, moving down here, it's like, I don't know that many AV people either. So to get out of the house and, you know, work on events, whether it's Rosie Riveters or whatever. It's just nice to leave this office.
Yeah.
So some of it's selfish too, but
I don't think so. I don't think that's selfish at all, Kelly.
You know, we have, I'm working with Catherine Cordina and Rhianna Norris and Naisha Brown.
I love these people.
Yep. So we've been a bit crazy this spring, but we're going to sit down and we're going to start working on doing like a quarterly volunteer event. So I want to have something on the calendar for every quarter where we can get together and we have different people kind of choose, because DFW is a big area.
What's on deck, Kelly? Like, what are you doing down there? I'd love to like hear and see if we can rinse and repeat, because I know I've got the Colorado stuff going, but the Cali girls are coming in hot too. Like I've got a whole band of heathens out here too. So
we have nothing on deck yet. I still have about 250 Rosary Riveter kits that I would like to do another event with. But most of the schools at this point are kind of ramping up for the year, so it'll probably happen in the fall.
Yeah.
So that's that's on deck. But yeah, we just have been traveling like crazy, so we're going to get together. But I think ideally it would be once a month we would get together and do something.
That's what we do. We do, like with Coavits, we do a once a month meet on a Monday, which is like the least intimidating because people have stuff meetings all throughout the week. So to start your week like that, and plus it's like a good way to start your week. Like you get with the ladies, and most of our meetings are just us like getting together just to say hello. And
where do you go, or what do you do?
So we have like we'll get a sponsor, we'll get a location, and Colorado community, AV community has been phenomenal. We hosted at AVI Systems last month. We hosted at our rep firm Momentum, which is a phenomenal space. So shout out to those guys. Appreciate you. So we've hosted at Links. We've hosted, so a lot of different places, and they love having us because you know what ladies do? They clean up after themselves, and they leave goodies and treats in their refrigerator. So they love us, and then we'll get a corporate sponsor. Somebody will drop a card. A lot of time, like this last time, we did Aperol spritzes, and we did a charcuterie board, and like it was so cute to watch. Like we bring the bags in, and then 5 women are just unloading the bags and rolling salami. I mean, it was just everybody went to business, and we just get together a lot of times for the camaraderie, and then we'll have those special events like the Rosie Riveters packing parties, and then the school events, which people are
cool.
at their leisure, like willing to attend. But other than that, like, a lot of times it's just like just a space for us to talk and commune and figure out what's going on and network. Like, what projects are you doing? Do you need help with this? Can I help you get in the door over here? Mm-hmm. Who's hiring? So we've got a lot of women that come to our group that are in the later chapter of their careers and are coming to our group to say, hey, I'm open for work. Which is wonderful, and something that we don't talk about a whole lot, because when you are a woman in a later chapter of life, it is more difficult to get a job. So we need to support those women as well.
I think it's anybody. It's not just when you're a woman. I've seen this for men as well in a later chapter of life, that there's so many young people coming into technology that it's easier to go, they'll pick up on this quickly.
And we can pay them nothing.
Right. Well, that too.
We're going to close that gap next. Let's close the women gap first, and then we'll close the pay
One
gap.
thing at a time.
One thing at a time.
One thing at a time.
Yeah. Erica's like, oh, Christie's on this podcast.
No, this is good. So interesting, because Kelly, you asked, where do you go? What do you do? So this is a good thing to leave on. If you want to get involved in your community, how would you go about it? How would you start? Would you contact a venue? Would you contact a local manufacturer, an integrator, and see if you can get an event together? What would be your tips to get your own community going?
Yeah, well, obviously, I'm going to plug Avixa. Just because we ended up having an organic group does not mean that Avixa, Avixa is alive and well. Kelly's Avixa group is phenomenal down in Dallas. But I think that really the cornerstone of all this is who you've got participating and who you've got leading. You've got some incredible leaders in Dallas that have 1000% stepped up to the plate,
who have nothing on the schedule.
It's okay, but you're doing things, and I know that you are, and I've seen them, I've seen them. And sometimes when we have regular jobs that take us all over the country, or we have other things like these kinds of things that we don't get paid for, they don't exist every month, and that's also okay. But there obviously is a need, and we're filling it. So to speak on my group, a lot of us kind of formed at a trade show. And I think that the story always starts out like, oh, I found the other girly in the room. Let's talk to her. And then I found the other girly in the room. And then all those girlies in the room said, hey, we used to have a group, but we didn't really do anything with it a couple of years ago. Can we revamp that? That's how it started in Colorado. And we go, all right. And then that person added a friend and added a friend. And it's been so fun to watch. Like Jessica came into our group, Jessica Van Dam, and she goes, you know who invited me? I'm a Dana girl. And so Dana Sanders Nichols is the one who invited, Jessica. So it's been fun to see Claire.
That's awesome.
Claire's invited the security girls, and it just branches. So if you build it, they will come.
That's true. Just giving them an avenue to go down. Kelly, how about you? Yeah. How would you recommend people get started?
Kind of, well, similar to what Christie said. I mean, it's for Catherine and me. We just we pick a place. The easiest thing to get, like if we get in a rut or something, we'll just pick a place and do like a happy hour. Like, because it's easy and it doesn't involve a lot of effort. We try and pick some place that's, somewhat central and just say, okay, let's all get together. And, we did one around Christmas, just that everybody bring Toys for Tots stuff. Right.
We did the same thing, but we did it for the Ralston house. It's awesome. See, we're doing this.
Yeah. Right. And I bet we had over 50 people come, which I think is pretty dang good.
That's huge. I usually get about 15.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's that, and if you're a part of the Avixa Women's Council, they'll give you like contact lists of folks in your area. And then we just kind of add to it because, we get people all the time asking to be a part of it or get involved. And then we'll send out emails saying, okay, maybe we're going to do a Rosary Riveter packing party, or we're going to go talk to a school, or we're going to, do a volunteer day or whatever. So just reaching out with those lists of folks too helps.
We literally do the same exact thing, Kelly.
Yay.
Oh, Erica, can I ask Kelly about her SAVE sustainability stuff too, really quick?
I mean, since we're here, absolutely.
I got to see Kelly at UCLA, and I got real jazzed about this SAVE sustainability program that Kelly is a big part of. And I'll say this, I think that us being in a black box industry, in a consumer electronics industry where, recycling efforts are already hard in fast fashion. They're difficult in, just even in residential communities, we don't know how to recycle. I think it's even more important when we're talking about electronics and things like batteries. Like, we're having to learn again and advocate for ourselves within our industry, what the proper disposal and the proper recycling process is for these things. And Kelly is a big part of that initiative. And I was, there's companies like Crestron who have sustainability officers. Wesco has a huge sustainability push as well. So shout out to Liberty Wesco, my company, for doing that as well. But I'd love for Kelly to just give a little 50, whatever minute, second timer, whatever on what the program is and how to get involved.
Well, SAVE is Sustainability in AV, and it's an organization that was developed alongside the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, which are some goals that were put together by the United Nations in 2015. And the idea is to achieve these goals by 2030, and it ranges from everything from clean water to quality healthcare, education,
equality.
Yes, but specifically the e-waste one is big for our industry, and that falls under goal number 12, which is responsible sourcing, production, manufacturing, recycling of products. And for me, I never knew a lot about sustainability. There's another gal on the board that she coins it eco anxiety, where you see all of these like extreme weather events and poverty and all of these things going on, in the world and in the United States, and it's for me, being a part of SAVE is, personally, is being able to tackle a very large initiative from the standpoint of our industry, right? That's where I feel like we can have some sort of, impact, within the AV industry and, between, everyone in our industry, or not everyone, but a good chunk of the industry, between the three of us, we know a lot of people. So if we can start to create, just like some quick start guides and some guidelines and just bring awareness and visibility and education about these types of programs, recycling, repurposing gear, stuff like that. I think we could make a big difference without having to do these ginormous heavy lifts of, let's save the entire planet, but we can do our bit, our piece for it. So that's kind of where I'm at with Save. And I think it's a great organization.
Shout out to Christina DeBono and Debbie Williamson for their efforts as well.
Yes,
because Christina
definitely.
DeBono, like, she makes it look simple. This is, like Kelly said, a big problem to tackle, even within our own industry. And, putting that event together and fantastic work.
How can people get involved in Save or different organizations?
You can go to our website, saveav.org. If you want to get involved, you can reach out to me directly, Kelly Perkins, or you can go to the website, saveav.org, and fill out a form, and we will get you hooked up with the right people to see how you can get involved.
Awesome. Thanks, Kelly. Christie, how can people reach you?
LinkedIn. We love LinkedIn. And it's
You said we.
Yeah, I love it. I'm on there all the time. I say funny things. If you don't even like my posts, I comment funny things on other people's posts all the time. So you can tab over and look at all the dumb stuff that I say and enjoy that too, just as an option. Cause I gotta get my creativity and humor out sometimes on those bad days, but CHRISTIE and Mitchell, you can spell Mitchell, but that's me. Mm-hmm. You can find me there.
Excellent. Christie Mitchell on LinkedIn. Kelly, I know people said that they can reach you at Save, but where else can people see you?
I am with the Farm AV. So if you want to go to thefarmav.com, otherwise LinkedIn, Kelly P. Perkins, the P is for Patricia.
What does that get confused with when you say P is for Patricia?
Oh, Kelly P. Perkins.
Oh,
Kelly P. Perkins.
P. Patricia
I'm so glad
Perkins.
we cleared that up.
Oh, it's double P.
Kelly P. Perkins. Sorry.
So what happens when you get the three of us on a podcast? Go stealth.
Oh my God.
Quick.
What are you
Erica, where can people get a hold of you?
Oh, they can find me in all the places at the Erica Carroll.
No. Stop it.
Oh, the new place.
Yeah.
The new place. Yeah, I started a business.
Talk about it.
You sound
it's
so
okay.
sad.
Charbet.com. CHARBETT.com.
Our girl just started her own thing.
Yay.
We are here to support you, sister, and we are so proud of you.
I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
And you all should all support her too. Otherwise, don't make me count to 3.
What? You heard it here first. Okay.
Yep. On that note,
awesome.
Before I get fired.
On that note, nope. Everybody have a wonderful day, and thank you both for joining me today.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.